Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and as I like to point out at each and every opportunity, it expands our base. Words matter. And words toward the end of a campaign can make a difference. Let's remember the Reverend James Burchard. Now, the name may not be familiar to you, but he spoke at a James G. Blaine for President rally in 1884 on the eve of the election. And he used the term rum, Romanism, and rebellion. The idea being that Catholics were in favor of heavy drinking, rum, Romanism, the Roman Catholic Church, and rebellion. Of course, the Civil War had just ended a few years earlier, and these words resonated. And James G. Blaine, who was the Republican nominee for president against Grover Cleveland, well, he seemed to have the election locked up, but it was not to be. And the reason was because Irish voters heard that quote, printed up in flyers, passed out at churches, passed out everywhere. Rum, Romanism, and rebellion. And the answer that New York gave, by a very narrow vote, was to vote for Grover Cleveland, the governor of New York, who became the president of the United States in 1885. Words do matter. And I have to tell you, when I listened to the rally at Madison Square Garden, and I listened to it from beginning to end, I listened on CNN and on Fox. I listened to the commentary. What disturbed me most greatly was the fact that on Fox there was an immediate defense of the insult which was delivered by a comedian. By the way, that comedian, like Reverend Burchard back in 1884, was not a candidate for anything, nor part of the entire process, except to offer a few brief words. How will this impact the election? We wait this morning for Donald Trump to offer some clarification, if he chooses to. And of course, Kamala Harris will speak on the ellipse later today. She says not about January 6th, but rather about the future of America. We know that by staging that rally on the ellipse, what she is really doing is making a statement about the contrast between Harris and Trump. And let's talk for a moment about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is, of course, doing everything he can to help Donald Trump win the presidency. He's using his website. He's using every amount of money that he can put in. Some guesstimate over $100 million as of this moment. And the question you have to ask yourself is, what in the world is going on? Are you hearing great issues being debated? The answer is no. Are you hearing real discussion about issues? The answer is no. And in 1 week, it will be Election Day. 1 week from today. And the fate of the nation hangs in the balance. I do not like calling names of candidates, but I do think candidates have to be held accountable for what they do, and yes, what they don't do. So we will listen today to Donald Trump with great care, and we will listen to Kamala Harris today with great care. They won't be on the same stage, but they will be addressing the same vast national audience, an audience that cares deeply about the future of our nation. I want to also comment the fact that already there are irregularities taking place in this election. Already we have heard of ballots being burned, of lawsuits being filed, of issues being raised about the legitimacy of this presidential campaign. In the next week, prior to the election, we will talk about that a great deal, I'm sure. But let us know that Republicans and Democrats have teams of lawyers that they are ready to send forth to do battle once the election is over in the courtrooms of America. It's going to make for a very interesting election. But if I may be so bold, I prefer an election in which honesty, integrity, and issues really matter. I would suggest to you that in this campaign, that simply hasn't happened. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand, which is, of course, our goal. You can interact with me on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And, of course, my deep appreciation to Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of this program, who makes sure our words are up and running every single day. I am John Rothman. See you tomorrow, right here on Around the Political World with John Rothman.